and welcome everyone to Feature Fridays. I hope that you are joining us here today on Facebook Live, where we are streaming our new weekly webinars. We're very excited to be doing this every week. My name is Jackie Kwan. I'm with Uplifter, and joining me today, and the person who's going to be showing us this wonderful feature, Garrett Trott, our product expert from Uplifter as well. How are
Hello.
you doing, Garrett?
Good, good. How are you?
It's our first Feature Friday. This is kind of exciting for me.
It is, it is. I've been practicing my alliteration to try and nail it. I'm
I've been
fidgeting to feature our
practicing,
first feature Friday.
I've been saying it over and over again so I don't mess it up, and I'm sure I will, but that's okay. It's Friday.
Yeah, it's almost the weekend. It's pretty much the weekend.
So today I'm really excited because the feature that we are actually going to be showing you today is a feature that we just launched in the last couple of weeks, and it's a feature that I'm very excited about, and that is the Uplifter Calendar. It's something that is incredibly robust and will open the doors to a lot of clubs to be able to do a number of things, not just be able to put a calendar on their site. So Garrett, do you want to jump in or do you want me to preamble a little bit more here?
I'm ready to jump in.
Okay, jump in.
Um,
Show us this calendar.
Excellent. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. This is the Uplifter Calendar, which, as Jackie noted, is a brand new feature. Now, we are going to be rolling out some additional tools to help augment this, but we're just so excited to bring this to you guys that we just couldn't wait. So we have brought it to you now, and we're going to talk a little bit about it. Now, when it comes to the calendar, as Jackie noted, this is going to give you a lot of flexibility, not only in the presentation, but also in the location of your calendar. Previously, it was true to say that you had a few specific calendars on your member account and on your registration page, but now you can put them anywhere. You can put tons of them on a single page if you want to, and confuse everyone if you want to do that. So we are looking right now at demodesign.uplifterinc.com. This is one of our demo sites here, and our lovely Genevieve has made this look fantastic. So we are going to ruin all her work, and we're going to paste in some calendars here and show you guys what you can do with the calendars with the system. Now, there are a couple of ways that you can go about utilizing the calendar widget, the feature. The main one is going to be by just inserting the calendar directly through the template option. Now, you may be familiar with some of the tools that are available on the public side of things. And in fact, if you've joined us for our past webinar series, we actually took a pretty deep dive into this utilizing this very site. But if you're not familiar with it, that's not a problem. We're going to be taking a look at something known as templates. So why don't we change up one of these items here, and let's say for sake of argument, we're going to get rid of this quote and we're going to put in a calendar. Now this might not be a great position, but we're going to do it anyways. So for this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to edit this section, and just so we're starting fresh here, I'm going to clear out all the content so that we're not working with anything else. Now, if you've never done so before, the way to insert a template is just this little bookshelf looking icon here. You're going to click this guy and it's going to give you some template options. Among them, and for our presentation today, we are going to use the embedded calendar option. Now this is going to show you a little template or a little show here, but it can often look a little bit different in the actual section that you're editing. So it is important to click OK and actually embed that calendar into the system to see how it's actually going to look. And of course, when you click outside of it, you'll actually see that full calendar. So here we have a full calendar. Now, as noted at the start of the call, you can embed these anywhere, whether it's going to be on your Uplifter page or on a third-party site as well. So if you use Uplifter for the registration purchases, but not necessarily for registration purposes, but not necessarily for the public pages, then you can absolutely embed this calendar on your regular website as well. That's not a problem. Now this this insert option here, of course, won't work because you don't have that insert option on your calendar. So we are going to look at an alternative option for that. But this is the basic option here. So if you're happy with that, if you've placed it in the place that you like, you can of course click Save Page, and that calendar will be then available for you from then on. You can see the basic features up in the top corners here. We're going to talk about not only embedding this calendar on different sites and different pages, but we're also going to talk about customizing this calendar to look exactly how we want.
One thing I'm just going to jump in and interject here is that the calendar that actually appears here within the display is not just the registration calendar. So one thing that's very specific about the custom registration pages and the custom registration calendar is any programs that are no longer available for registration or are yet to open for registration, they don't actually appear in the calendar. However, this is basically your club calendar or your organization calendar, regardless of whether or not registration is open or closed. So you can use this to share with your members. Let's say your registration has already closed for the season, but you want to share with your members what the general class schedule is like because people aren't sure exactly when to come or where to come. So embedding this calendar on a public page within your Uplifter site or on your own website gives that visibility to your members to let them know, when and where classes are, and allow them to click through and also see things like if there's an exception or a cancellation or a holiday. If you do that, it will automatically display in this calendar here.
Yes, I
Yeah,
don't think
go
I have
ahead.
any holidays here. So
That's
it's
okay.
going to shake us excellent. So yes, so we've seen how to insert just the basic calendar. Let's talk a little bit about how to customize this calendar and then grab the embeddable code to put it wherever we want. And this can be done primarily through the Learning Center. Now you're probably familiar with the Learning Center. It's where all of our articles are housed. And among them is the article Uplifter Calendar. And this is a fairly new article. It came out with the feature, of course. This talks a little bit about the template, how to insert it and things like that. But on the third option here, fourth option if I could count, is the calendar configurator. And by clicking this, we are brought down to the configurator section. Now, the very first thing that the calendar configurator needs is your Uplifter URL. This does need to be the URL that your Uplifter site is located at. If you are not 100% certain as to what that might be, you're more than welcome to pop the URL in here and test out the outcome, but you can also reach out to us and say, what is my exact URL? For this page here, we see my site at .uplifterinc.com. So if that's what your site is at as well, then that is your Uplifter URL. If you've made some DNS changes, it might be a little bit different from this. But I'm going to grab this URL here, and I'm not going to include the HTTP at the end. I just want demodesign.uplifterinc.com. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to paste that into this form here. And as soon as I do, it generates my calendar for me. Now this looks exactly the same as the previous calendar, right? So let's customize it a little bit. Now that I've entered in my URL here, I have the option to change my default view. As you can see, it defaults to the month view, which is what we see down here, but maybe I want to change that to something a little bit different. Maybe I want to look and focus on a specific week. So now I have a week calendar. Now, by default, it is going to show the active week. So today being the 21st during this presentation, it shows you that the week of the 21st. But if you want to showcase something that's maybe a little bit in the future, you can go into the dates time section and you can update the date and time. So maybe I want to showcase, there's going to be the March break camp and it's the week of the 16th. So I'm going to select that. And after selecting it, my calendar automatically updates and here's the week of the 16th so I can see or showcase exactly what I want to focus on. Additionally, there are some other elements in here like the slot duration, the day start and end time. These will actually only have an effect if you use the day view option here. So this sort of sets when your day begins and when your day ends. So you can sort of focus on specific times if you'd like. And we can also go into the displayed information section. Now this allows you to control a little bit more about what's actually being shown here. For instance, this legend down at the bottom here, maybe I want it at the top, maybe I don't want it at all. I can change my legend position and that automatically affects my calendar and now I don't have a legend down there. Similarly, we also have the pricing display and button text. These affect what happens when someone clicks on one of the events in your calendar. So right now you can see that it's going to showcase the event itself. Of course, this is being boxed up for display purposes here, but it's going to show you the icon itself. So here we have the register and here we have the actual pricing, but I can change if it's installments or maybe none, and maybe I don't want a register button. Like Jackie said, maybe this is just showcasing what happened last year. So I don't even want people to see a register button or anything of that nature. So now I have no price. Now I have no register button. So again, you can make these sort of changes and make this calendar work and function exactly how you want. Let's switch this up to a month view again. And the one thing we're also going to change is the buttons that users have. Now this is done through the headers and footers section. And here what we'll see is a list of different options that users can select from, or you can select from. And so you can also change up how they're designed in terms of the spread here. So let's take a bit more of a focused look on what I mean by that. Header left is the top left of your calendar. So in header left, currently we have previous, next, and today. Previous, next, today. But if I want to, maybe I want a bit of a spacing between these buttons, I can toggle that, and now I have some spacing. Maybe I like it the other way around, and maybe I don't want today to show up, or maybe I don't want previous and next to show up. I can hold down Control, and I can select or deselect the buttons that I want, and now those options are in my calendar as I want them to be. So maybe I want to have a year view for some strange reason. So there we are, now we have a year view list. You can do that for all of them. You can also do them for the footers, which are the buttons that show up at the bottom of your calendar. I would be cautious to use the footer buttons, although they can be pretty handy and you might want to insert a few of them. Generally, people won't get to the point where they see the footer buttons. It requires them to scroll down the page a little bit further. So they'll usually see the header ones before anything else. So once you are happy with what you have done here and you're happy with all the features and the different settings that you have, what you'll notice is just above the calendar preview, you'll have this iframe code. And so here's your code here. You can highlight this if you want, or you can just click this copy button and it'll copy to your computer's clipboard. And now that I have that code, I can paste that code wherever I want to. And this can be within my Uplifter site, but it can also be within a third-party site. Maybe I've got a GoDaddy site or something like that, and I can paste this code into my public pages. So I have that code there, and I'm going to go to a different page. And actually, instead of this calendar, so we have February, we've got these buttons here, I'm going to edit this. Now, in order to paste this iframe code, I need to go into the source code here, which is these two arrows pointing away from one another. And all I want to do in this particular instance, I'm going to clear out the content so I'm not seeing two calendars, and I'm going to paste that code that I copied. I'm going to click OK, and now I have my other calendar in place. You can see there's the today list. It's focused on March. So now I have that calendar embedded into my site. Now this is a full month, and this is of course just one of the use cases. As you saw, or as you probably saw if you're eagle-eyed there are a ton of different views. There's a ton of different ways that you can control what these calendars are displaying, and because of that, there's a huge list of things that you can utilize this for. As a for instance, one of the pages that Jackie has set up here is on demo gymnastics. And here you can see a pretty standard week view of the different programs that are available this week. And so we can see Sunday to Saturday, we can register for these programs, and we can see the locations that these programs are at. Jackie, do you have any comments about this particular setup?
Yeah, actually I do. So one of the things that I did with this was I actually removed all of the elements from the header so that you can't actually navigate the calendar. And what I did was I actually locked this calendar to a single week where I knew that there were programs for the whole week. So what's really great about this calendar tool that's coming from Uplifter is, let's say you actually operate a separate WordPress site and you're using Uplifter just for registration, but you want people to be able to see the full calendar of your events on a weekly basis, and then also be able to register for those things directly from your site. So you could actually put the calendar as is, and it won't, typically it will default to like a today's date. So it might change a little bit, so it might not show you everything. But in this case, because I've locked it to a specific week that has the full program of that season, when I click on one of those elements, I can automatically see how much it costs to register and click on that register button. And if you actually have this on your WordPress site, it will automatically take you over to your Uplifter site and prompt the user to create their account, log in, and then be able to proceed with registration. If you are on your Uplifter site, it will automatically bring up that pop-up box as Garrett just showed us, where you can actually select your participant and go ahead and register if you're already logged in. So this gives you quite a bit of flexibility, not just to provide more information to to your club members in terms of your goings on, but it also allows you to embed little registration elements into other places. So let's say you also, maybe you actually work with other clubs in the area and you want to share the fact that you've got registration going on. Maybe you've got a competition coming up, and you want to give people sort of a really quick, easy link so that they can actually register for those competitions. Send that link out to or send that calendar out to any of the clubs in the area that might be available to or eligible to register for the competition, and they can embed that on their website so that people can come directly to your site and register for the competition. So lots of different use cases. Garrett, I think were you gonna show us a few other things, or was that? Is that
Yes, I was going to
yeah,
show the other calendar that you made.
right? Oh,
This
oh,
guy.
that's right. I made another one.
So as you can see on this calendar, very similar in terms of form. So this is a week-long calendar, is focused on today's date rather than, I think this was a future date because it's not, you don't see the today highlighted there. And of course, it does have the legend at the top too, so people know where they're going for certain things, as well as it does retain the controls. One thing you'll also notice here is that Jackie has opted to split the week button away from the other buttons. Now, in the configurator here, these options are all or nothing, so I can configure this to be all split or none of them are split, but you can absolutely manually change those if you wanted to. These can be updated however you want, wherever you want. You can just sort of fiddle around with these URLs. Now, if there is a sort of display that you guys would like to put into your system, if you do want to have something split out separately like that, just give us a shout. If you're not sure how to do that, we can absolutely help you out with that. That's no problem. Jackie, did you have any comments about this specific build?
Um, no, other than I'm sorry that I put in that little advanced little tidbit and made you actually
No, 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 that's
explain
perfect.
how it's done.
That's perfect because it actually leads us into another element of the system. Now, when you generate these URLs, when you're crafting things and customizing things, what it's actually doing is generating a specific URL. This URL has parameters within it, and it's totally okay if you're not used to any of this stuff. This sort of techie stuff makes you feel uncomfortable. That's totally fine. You don't need to know or understand any of this stuff. But one thing that is important to know is that you can actually customize these calendars even further than what this configurator presently allows you to do. Now, as I noted at the top of the call there, we are going to be introducing some additional features and tools that allow you even further customization, as well as a direct interlinking between your site and the actual configurator so that you don't have to go to the Learning Center. It'll be right there for you. But if you do want to have a more customized calendar right off the hop, you don't want to wait for those tools, we can help you do that. And you can also filter with that, you can also filter these calendars by your categories, your category levels, your seasons. We can help you do that. So if you do want to have a calendar that's focused on your Cascade or your Ken Gym or what have you, give us a shout and we can definitely make sure that your calendar focuses on what you want it to focus on. And that is all I had. Now, Jackie, do you want to add anything else at all?
No, I don't have anything else to add other than we are very excited about this feature because once we started building it, we realized that there's a whole host of things that you can actually do with it, interconnecting with other sites, sharing information with your members, being able to really customize your Uplifter site and how people interact with you and the registrations that you might offer in a way that wasn't available before. So lots of capabilities with it. Again, as Garrett said, if you have any questions about actually how to customize this, if there's something that you want to try, let us know. Send us an email at support@uplifterinc.com. We'd love to hear from you, love to hear some feedback, and love to hear how the clubs are actually utilizing this feature. So thank you very much for joining us today on our very first Feature Friday. We're going to be here again next week. And Garrett, have we decided what we're talking about next week? I think we did.
Next
You?
week is a big one. We are going
Yeah.
to be doing withdrawals, adjustments, and refunds.
Right. So we're doing just a very specific dive on editing invoices, which is a hot button topic that we often have with our support team. So if you're wanting to look at some of those specific elements of adjusting an invoice and figuring out how to actually work with your invoices, please join us again next Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. If you don't catch us, we're going to be reposting our videos again afterwards. So just check us out on our Facebook feed, and we will be here every Friday. So thank you, everyone, for joining us, and look forward to seeing you next week.
Thank you, everyone. Take care.